Hello, so in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do a Howard Arkley-like montage. So this is in Adobe InDesign. It is currently in the normal preview mode, but what I've done here is I've brought the images in and I've put a drop shadow in them. So let's start by creating a new document. So go over to File, New, Create New Document. So we're going to work as an A3 size. We go over to our Print tab over here. We go to A3 size in the presets, and then we go over to millimeters because we're not going to be using picas. Orientation is supposed to be landscape format, not portrait, and everything looks okay here. We click on Create. So first of all, obviously you need to take your photos. I recommend 22, 24 photos for this. I've prepared my photos earlier. So I'm going to go over to this tool over here, and this is a rectangle frame tool. Now InDesign uses everything is a container. So in this container, I'm going to be using a 3:2 ratio because your cameras are shooting as a 3:2 ratio. So if I click once, it's going to come up here with the options of width and height. Width I'm setting as 30 millimeters, height is 20. We can resize these up to make them larger later on. We click on OK, and I go over to the selection tool, and I'm going to drag this across and press Option at the same time, and press Shift, and I shift across, and I duplicate it. I can now deselect those two, select those two, move this across, press Option Shift, and move it across again. And I'm going to repeat this another time. All right, so I also need some rows, so I'm going to select this again, move this down, press Shift Option again, do the same thing to get a few bits of grid going on. Now obviously this is not going to be set as a final grid, but I'm going to use this here to just fill these containers in. I'll go over to File, go to Place, and I go to my folder I prepared earlier, and I go over and select my JPEG files. Press Command on the Mac or Control on PC to select these files individually. Now, I do have raw files. I'm not going to use them for this stage. I can replace them later on with the edited raw files some other time. All right, so they're all my files there. Going to click on to Options. Import. It's just generating the file previews now. I click on each container, once on each container, to load those files into Adobe InDesign. Now you can do this in Photoshop, but Photoshop's process is a little bit more complicated. So there we go, we have our photos. Now I can press Z to go to the move to the zoom in tool, and I can zoom into all this if I wanted to. There we go. All right, so I can press now Control A or Command A on the Mac to select all these boxes. I'm going to right click on the box, go to Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionally. I can see all of my photo within that frame. So it's done that now. Good. Now I'm going to go over to the selection tool, and I notice that there's some images that I don't need. I'm going to click on that one, press delete, click on that one, delete it. I can also press the space bar to go into the hand tool and move myself around this document. Now let's see how this document's going to pan out. I started off with my photos being from a right to left format. So I'll move this image here, which is the first one shot, to the right, move this one across here. It doesn't have to match up perfectly, right? The more it's sort of a bit more interesting, I can make this sort of, rotate a little bit if I wanted to, make it a little bit more exciting. Move this one up here. I can bring this one to the front by pressing Command Shift and then close curly bracket, and it brings it to the front if I want to. I can also press Control Shift and then open curly bracket, and then it goes right to the back. Continue doing this. All right, make it interesting. All right, and I finally end up doing the assembly, okay? Cool. So imagine I finished all this. I now need to put a drop shadow on this so I can select all these ones that I've done so far. I go over to this panel here and click on Effect, and I click on here Drop Shadow. And then just use the same settings. I'm just going to set this up to about 25% on the opacity. Click on OK, and that is my Howard Arkley one done so far. You end up with this setup. And that'll be all for this one. Thank you. Bye.